Hello friends, it's Sunday again, and it's time for everyone's most anticipated storytelling session. Today I'm going to tell you about a woman who was once the most beloved actress in China, the wealthiest Chinese actress on Forbes, known as the female Buffett, who achieved a 144% investment return in just 4 months. But now, she can't even come up with a few thousand yuan, 8,000, 5,000, such small amounts, and has ended up being forcibly executed by the court. On New Year's Eve, she tried to make a comeback by secretly appearing on a live stream, but less than 10 minutes in, the stream was cut off, and official media quickly stepped in to publicly criticize her by name. This person is Zhao Wei, also known as Little Swallow. How did she end up in such a situation today? Today, let's spend 20 minutes, no rambling, just pure substance, to take a comprehensive look at this poignant chapter of her life. On April 30th, Chen Kun and Huang Xiaoming posted a group photo on Weibo. It was taken at the 30th anniversary reunion of the 1996 class of the acting department at Beijing Film Academy. The photo quickly went viral across the internet. What everyone focused on most wasn't the gathering of celebrities in the picture, but Zhao Wei, sitting next to the class advisor with her striking red hair. This was almost the first time since she was completely blacklisted online in August 2021 that she appeared in public in such a normal manner. Just over a month before this class photo went viral, on March 9th, the Beijing Dongcheng District People's Court issued a ruling. The Wuhu Dongrunfa Investment Company, which Zhao Wei co-owns with her brother Zhao Jian, had all of Zhao Wei's 90% stake, amounting to 9 million RMB, completely frozen for a period of 3 years until 2029. Exactly 1 week after this ruling was issued was her 50th birthday. She updated her social media with a set of 9-grid photos, no makeup, no glamorous clothes, just her bare face sitting by the street drinking coffee, barefoot on the beach, and in the middle, a photo of sunlight breaking through the clouds and shining on the sea. The caption read, "Keep a calm mind, everything will pass." Before this, she had already accumulated 18.5 million yuan worth of shares that had been frozen by the court. It started in April 2021, when 1.9 million shares of her Tibet Longwei Media were frozen, and continued up to this March with another 9 million shares. These are not new cases. The root of it all lies in a 1.8 billion yuan trust financing guarantee from 2017. Back then, Zhao Wei acted as a joint guarantor for a company controlled by her ex-husband Huang Yulong's sister. Later, when that company defaulted, Minsheng Trust came after her for the debt. What's even more ironic is that in 2024, this person who once wielded great power in the capital markets was actually subjected to court enforcement over debts of just over 8,000 yuan and 5,000 yuan. Back in the day, a few thousand yuan wouldn't even have been enough to buy her a keychain, but now it has become the last bit of dignity torn away from her. She can't even come up with 10,000 yuan. How did things end up like this? It all started when she married a man. Many people, when telling Zhao Wei's story, start with My Fair Princess. But the real beginning of her journey into capital wasn't Xiao Yanzi in 1998, but rather an introduction in 2008. At the beginning of 2008, the so-called Qigong master Wang Lin, the same man who was later arrested for being a big fraud, introduced Zhao Wei to a man named Huang Yulong. In December of that same year, the two of them registered their marriage in both Shenzhen and Singapore. Before marrying Zhao Wei, there was very little public information about Huang Yulong. What the media managed to dig up was that he was born in 1976 in Shaodong, Hunan, and came from a farming family. From 2000 to 2002, he worked at a company in Shenzhen called Avik Kangi Entertainment. In 2002, he became the general manager of Shenzhen Dongranda Industrial. In 2005, his second sister Huang Li took over the Xinyanzi Hot Spring Resort Hotel in Zhengcheng, Guangdong, and listed him as the founder of Jinyanzi Hotel. Up until this point, he was still just a Guangdong businessman whose name you wouldn't recognize. However, not long after the case was exposed in 2017, Shakadao, a media outlet under the People's Daily, once said that Huang Yulong was the driver of Xu Zongheng, the former mayor of Shenzhen who was later dismissed. But later, Den Shengxian, a subsidiary of China Business Journal, conducted a series of investigations and changed the wording, clearly stating that Huang Yulong was not Xu Zongheng's driver, but hinted that his rise was related to Huang Liman, the former party secretary of Shenzhen. Who is Huang Liman? She is one of Jiang Zemin's 4 mistresses. Regardless of the nature of the relationship, one thing in common is that Huang Yulong's rise was not due to doing business, but because of his connections. When Zhao Wei married him in 2008, according to Apple Daily's report, his net worth was already 400 million Hong Kong dollars at that time. In the following 10 years, this number would multiply several dozen times because the next key figure was about to appear. After Zhao Wei got married, her appearances on screen became less frequent, but she started showing up at dinner gatherings more often. She and Huang Yulong began to enter a certain circle, and the central figure of this circle was Jack Ma. From the scenes described in public records, you can sense that the relationship between these two families is anything but ordinary. When Jack Ma invited Bill Gates to dinner, Huang Yulong was the one accompanying them. In June 2014, at the press conference announcing the strategic cooperation between Evergrande and Alibaba, Huang Yulong made an appearance to support Jack Ma. On June 8, 2014, Jack Ma attended Zhao Wei's father-in-law's 80th birthday banquet. Zhao Wei once posted photos on Weibo of herself practicing calligraphy and painting with Jack Ma, and even commented on Jack Ma's painting as enjoying life and finding joy in it. Moreover, Zhao Wei herself is one of the authors of the book Observing Jack Ma in Silence. With friendship reaching this level, collaboration is pretty much inevitable. On December 20th, 2014, this was the most pivotal day in Zhao Wei's investment career. Together with Huang Yulong, through an overseas company wholly owned by Huang Yulong called Gold Ocean Media, they paid 3.1 billion Hong Kong dollars in cash in one go. At an average price of 1.6 Hong Kong dollars per share, they purchased 1.93 billion shares of Alibaba Pictures, acquiring a 9.18% stake and becoming the second largest shareholder of Alibaba Pictures, second only to Alibaba itself. At that time, the biggest question from the Hong Kong media was, where did the 31 billion Hong Kong dollars in cash come from all at once? Zhao Wei and Huang Yulong did not answer. 4 months later, Alibaba Pictures stock soared. Over 2 days, Zhao Wei and her husband sold off 256 million shares at a price of 3.9 Hong Kong dollars per share, cashing out about 1 billion Hong Kong dollars. In just 4 months, their return on investment reached as high as 144%. By 2015, Forbes directly named Zhao Wei as the richest actress in China, praising her for her sharp investment acumen. It was at this time that she was given the title of the Female Buffett. The next year, she further reduced her stake in Alibaba Pictures. In October 2016, she sold 1.25 billion Hong Kong dollars at once. With these two moves, buying in and selling out, statistics show that she cashed out at least over 2.3 billion Hong Kong dollars from just this one project with Alibaba Pictures. But wait, that is certainly not all. In 2011, Zhao Wei put 776,400 yuan into Tang to Film. By its 2015 IPO, her stake hit 120 million yuan, a 150-fold return in 4 years. That same year, she bought 21.06 million Hong Kong dollars of China Creative Holdings. It surged 925% on its Hong Kong debut, earning her 190 million in one day. She also profited from YTO Express's backdoor listing as a shareholder in Yunfeng New Creation. Just like that, in less than 2 years, by 2016, Zhao Wei had already made it onto the Hurun Global Rich list, ranking 1,964th with a net worth of 6.6 billion RMB, becoming the only celebrity from the entertainment industry on the list. Up to this point, it looks like an inspiring story of a celebrity transforming into an investment prodigy. But the problem is, there isn't a single part of this script that ordinary people can replicate. So how did Zhao Wei manage to do it? Let's set the answer aside for now. Friends, keep watching. By the end of 2016, Zhao Wei's ambitions had grown even bigger. She was no longer satisfied with just earning shareholder profits. She wanted to control a listed company herself. This led to the later well-known Wanjia culture case. On November 2nd of that year, Tibet Longwei Media was established with a registered capital of 2 million RMB, and Zhao Wei was the legal representative. No, that's 2 million, not 2 billion. This company had just been set up with no performance record, no paid-in capital, and its total assets, net assets, operating income, and net profit were all zero. In the capital market, there's a term for this, a shell company. Just over a month after the company was established, it issued an announcement stating that it would spend 3.06 billion RMB to acquire 29.135% of Zhejiang Wanjia Culture's shares, thereby gaining controlling interest. At that time, Wanjia Culture's market value was about 10 billion. How could a newly established small company possibly come up with 3.06 billion? The announcement made it very clear. Zhao Wei herself invested 60 million, borrowed 1.5 billion from a third party, and then raised another 1.4999 billion through stock pledge financing from financial institutions. If you calculate the leverage ratio for this combination, it means Zhao Wei used 60 million to leverage 3 billion, a 51 times leverage. This set the record for the highest leverage in the acquisition of a listed company in China's capital market. Even during the 2008 US financial crisis, Wall Street investment banks didn't dare to play this big. The most remarkable part lies in the loan details. That 15 billion third-party loan was borrowed from a company called Tibet Yinbixin with an annual interest rate of 10%. Such a huge sum was lent to a shell company that had just been established, with a registered capital of only 2 million, and they didn't even require Zhao Wei herself to provide any guarantee. Could an ordinary person possibly pull this off? Industry insiders have analysed that this couldn't have been a normal loan. There must have been some arrangement for sharing equity returns behind it. How should we understand this? And what exactly is this kind of profit-sharing arrangement? Friends, pay attention to this question. We'll talk about it later. So who is really behind this Tibet Yinbixin, the company that lent the money? Let's leave that as a clue for now, because it's one of the most crucial points in the whole story. As soon as the announcement was made, the stock price of Wanja Culture immediately took off, soaring from 18 yuan all the way to 25 yuan, a 30% increase. Retail investors, seeing Zhao Wei's name, rushed to buy in, but the deal collapsed. In January 2017, the bank suddenly said they wouldn't approve it because the financing hadn't been secured. Then Longwei Media reduced the planned acquisition from 29% to 5%, but even that didn't work out. In the end, they simply decided not to go through with the acquisition at all, and both parties even agreed not to pursue any liability for breach of contract. Just hearing that, you can tell there's a lot more to this story. The stock price then plummeted, at one point dropping by nearly 90%. And those retail investors who rushed in after believing the announcement lost everything in less than a month. At the time, there was also a very popular article titled "Regulators Should Rein in the Zhao Wei Types Who Reap Retail Investors Like Leaks." So how did such an ambitious deal fall apart so suddenly? Because something else happened around the same time. On January 27, 2017, the 7th day of the Chinese Lunar New Year, at the Four Seasons Hotel in Hong Kong, a man whose name was once the most prominent in the world of mainland Chinese capital, yet who had long kept a low profile hiding out at the Four Seasons, was wheeled out of the hotel in a wheelchair and taken back to the mainland. That man was Xiao Jianhua. A native of Shandong, he was admitted to Peking University's law department at the age of 15, and by 27 he had become the youngest general manager of a listed company in China. From then on, he single-handedly built the most mysterious financial empire in China, the Tomorrow Group, holding controlling or minority stakes in dozens of listed companies. The Hurun Rich List ranked him 32nd, but outsiders estimated his actual wealth to be at least in the tens of billions. So how did Xiao Jianhua being taken back to mainland China end up being connected to Zhao Wei? If you trace the ownership of Tibet Yinbixin, which lent Zhao Wei 1.5 billion yuan layer by layer upwards, you'll find it's an affiliate of the Tomorrow Group. The financial advisor Zhao Wei hired for the acquisition of Wanja Culture was also a company under the Tomorrow Group. After Xiao Jianhua was taken away on January 27th, Zhao Wei's 3 billion yuan acquisition deal fell through. The bank refused to approve the loan and the financing collapsed. In November of that year, the China Securities Regulatory Commission officially handed down penalties, fining Zhao Wei and Huang Yulong 300,000 yuan each and banning them from the securities market for 5 years. At the time, many analysts looked at this timeline and concluded that the punishment of Zhao Wei and her husband was a signal that action was being taken against the Tomorrow Group. But if the story ended here, it would just be a case of Zhao Wei being implicated by the troubles of the Tomorrow Group. In July 2024, the New York Times and the World China released an investigative report. They reviewed more than 2,000 confidential internal documents from Tomorrow Group, and the authenticity of this information was confirmed by 2 former employees of Tomorrow Group. What was revealed in this report is an entirely different story. First of all, where did the 3.1 billion yuan that Zhao Wei and her husband invested in Alibaba Pictures in 2014 come from? It wasn't Zhao Wei's own money. 60% of it came from Xiao Jianhua's company, that is, Tomorrow Group, and the remaining 40% was privately lent by Xiao Jianhua to Huang Yulong at an 8% interest rate in US dollars for the investment. At that time, Huang Yulong also took out a $75 million loan from Credit Suisse, and in the end, they managed to put together the 3.1 billion yuan. Moreover, although all this money was invested under Huang Yulong's name, all the payment processing and banking transactions were handled entirely by Xiao Jianhua's Tomorrow Group team. Additionally, in 2015, when Alibaba Pictures' stock price soared, Huang Yulong cashed out $75 million, and Xiao Jianhua's company also made almost the same amount in profits at that time. As for Jack Ma's securities company, Yunfeng Financial, it was called Rerouted Group at the time. Through 4 offshore companies, plus a 5th company held by Huang Yulong, Xiao Jianhua controlled about 1/3 of the shares, more than Jack Ma himself held. When Ant Group was preparing to go public in 2020, the prospectus revealed that Zhao Wei's mother, Wei Qiying, a retired elementary school music teacher, was a partner in Yunfeng Fund, holding about 7.3 million shares of Ant, valued at 500 million yuan. And one of Xiao Jianhua's employees was the largest single investor in this fund. In other words, Zhao Wei and Huang Yulong were acting as proxies for Xiao Jianhua in investing in Jack Ma's company, and Xiao Jianhua himself was a white glove for the highest-ranking families in the Chinese Communist Party. In 2014, Xiao Jianhua's spokesperson personally confirmed to the New York Times that Xi Jinping's sister and brother-in-law sold 50% of a Beijing investment company, and the buyer at that time was Xiao Jianhua's Tomorrow Group. And that's not all. Within the Jiang faction system, Xiao Jianhua also had extremely close ties with the families of Zheng Qingheng, Liu Yunshan, and others. So this thread is that the top ruling families of the Chinese Communist Party, through their proxy Xiao Jianhua, and then through Xiao's own proxies, Huang Yulong and Zhao Wei, used unprecedentedly high leverage to buy into Jack Ma's company. After the stock market value soared, they quickly sold off their shares, reaping hundreds of times in returns before finally exiting. The money came from places that could never see the light of day, bypassed the celebrity's public image, and was laundered into Alibaba and Ant Group. Once they went public, the profits were divided according to their shares. This is the real story behind Zhao Wei's so-called female Buffett legend. It's not a story about an actress making investments thanks to her keen insight, but rather a story of the top ruling families of the Chinese Communist Party laundering money, plundering public wealth, and finally splitting the spoils among themselves. Celebrities are just a part of the publicity chain. Because Zhao Wei is famous, her appearance in official announcements can convince retail investors to buy in. Du Wen, who once served as legal advisor to Hu Chunhua, once said that the greatest reward in the political games of the CCP elite is, I let you play along. You are part of the process, and at the same time, you serve as my white glove, my front man. Let's bring the focus back to 2021. On the night of August 26 that year, there was no official announcement whatsoever. All of Zhao Wei's works, such as My Fair Princess, Romance in the Rain, Moment in Peking, and Tiger Mom Cat Dad, were taken down overnight from all major video platforms. Her name was removed from cast lists, her Weibo super topics were shut down, and any unaired scenes were quickly recast. Celebrities who were on good terms with her deleted their Weibo posts and distanced themselves from her overnight. Such a level of blacklisting is unprecedented in the Chinese entertainment industry, and the strangest thing is, no one told the public why. If it were for being unpatriotic, pro-Japanese, or for tax evasion, according to the CCP's usual practice, whether it's the Broadcasting Authority or the Tax Bureau, they would quickly issue a notice to declare her guilty, but this time there was nothing at all. This very sense of mystery is itself the answer. Let's line up the events that happened during that period and take a look. In April 2021, Huang Yulong was wanted and arrested in France by the Chinese Communist Party through Interpol. Court records show that the CCP wanted him to return to China to testify in the corruption case of former Deputy Minister of Public Security Sun Lijun. At the time, CCP officials spoke with him, saying that if he returned to cooperate with the investigation of a certain high-ranking political figure, the warrant for his arrest could be withdrawn. They even said, "I've chatted with your wife." In July 2021, the French court rejected the extradition request for Huang Yulong. On July 23, 2021, Huang Yulong and Zhao Wei secretly divorced. A month later, Zhou Jiangyong, the party secretary of Hangzhou, was brought down, causing a major upheaval in Zhejiang's political circles. One of the charges against Zhou Jiangyong at the time was that he rushed to buy shares worth 400 million yuan right before Ant Group's IPO. Doesn't this incident seem strangely familiar to Zhao Wei's sudden purchase that we mentioned earlier? 3 days later, Zhao Wei was completely banned from the internet. From Xiao Jianhua being taken away in 2017, to the suspension of Ant Group's IPO in October 2020, to Huang Yulong's arrest in France in April 2021, his secret divorce from Zhao Wei in July, the political upheaval in Zhejiang in August, and Zhao Wei being completely banned from the internet at the end of August. These are not a series of isolated incidents, but rather the process of a capital empire being dismantled piece by piece. And Zhao Wei was precisely the most beautiful, the most seemingly harmless, and the most recognizable face at the forefront of this empire. In the more than 4 years since her ban, Zhao Wei has tried several times to test the waters for a comeback. For example, on December 4, 2024, after Chong Yao passed away, she made a rare post to express her condolences. 2 days later, she suddenly announced on Weibo that she and Huang Yulong had already ended their marriage. The timing of this is extremely delicate. Previously, there were reports that Huang Yulong was being pursued for a massive debt worth billions. By publicly discussing their divorce in this way, it was widely believed that she was trying to separate herself from the debt and pave the way for her comeback. The following year, at the end of 2025, she suddenly appeared in a female live streamer's broadcast room for the first time, showing her full face with exquisite makeup and a carefully chosen outfit, clearly having prepared meticulously. He warmly embraced the female live streamer, the atmosphere was electric, and fans kept pouring in, frantically sending gifts. In the early hours of New Year's Eve 2026, he made another surprise appearance, this time in the live stream of his own wine brand. After he appeared, sales in the live stream skyrocketed instantly, but it only lasted for 10 minutes before the stream was abruptly cut off. Afterwards, he sent a voice message in the fan group. According to those who heard it, his voice was very hoarse and extremely downcast, saying that he wouldn't be able to connect like this again in the future. Then on January 19th, Xinhua news agency published a commentary article stating that artists with a history of misconduct who violate regulations and attempt a comeback should have no market and no traffic. The article specifically named some artists who tried to make a comeback online through digital platforms. This was clearly referring to Zhao Wei. At this point, the overall shape of the story has already emerged. Zhao Wei was never the one making the moves. She was neither the real investor behind Alibaba Pictures' $3 billion Hong Kong dollar deal. The money came from Xiao Jianhua, nor was she the largest shadow shareholder of Yunfeng Financial. That position belonged to Xiao Jianhua. She was also not the true mastermind behind the Wanjia Culture acquisition case. The ones lending the money and acting as financial advisors were all from the Tomorrow Group. Her mother was also not a real partner of Yunfeng Fund. The person actually sitting behind the scenes was an employee of Xiao Jianhua, and Xiao Jianhua himself was not at the very top of the entire ecosystem. His Tomorrow Group once took over assets from Xi Jinping's sister and brother-in-law and was deeply tied to Jiang faction figures like Zheng Qinghong and Liu Yunshan. In other words, on the celebrity end, Zhao Wei was a front for Huang Yulong. Huang Yulong was a front for Xiao Jianhua, and Xiao Jianhua was, in turn, a front for those few red families at the very top of the CCP's concentrated power structure. It's just a pity that while Zhao Wei played out the many facets of life on screen, off-screen, she was never able to become the author of her own life. In this dangerous game of political and financial power, she probably never imagined that following along would ultimately lead her to such an end. Alright, that's it for today. This was our 25-minute all-in-one look at the rise and fall of Zhao Wei, the little swallow. If you enjoyed today's content or have anything you'd like to say, please share your thoughts with me in the comments section. Friends, before you leave, if you haven't given me a like yet, please don't forget to do so. New friends, welcome to subscribe to True Perspective. That way, you'll be able to see my new videos on your YouTube homepage in the future. Thank you all for your support. Every interaction from you helps my voice and my program reach a wider audience, allowing more people to discover it. Zhenfei would like to thank everyone here in advance for your encouragement. Thank you for watching, and I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Let's meet again on Tuesday at True Perspective. Don't miss it. Bye-bye.